For this chapter on advanced queries, I've actually opened up another one of the databases included in the exercise files. And this database is the donations database. And as you can see, all it contains is tables. Let's just have a look at these tables first of all to get ourselves familiar with this database. This database has a number of contributors, and that's the contributors table. If I right-click this table and have a look at the design of this table, basically what we're doing here is we're keeping a record of the contributors to various campaigns. And we're keeping information such as their home phone, their work phone, their mobile phone, and their address. If I then close that particular table, the other table that's worth looking at are the pledges themselves. If I right-click this table and look at the design of this table, basically a contributor is making a pledge on a certain date for a certain amount towards a certain campaign. And if I close that table, the third table I'd like to look at is the campaigns themselves. If I have a look just by double-clicking campaign, we've got 3 campaigns. One for Lambert for Mayor, Save the Whales, and one is WSPA. And if I have a look at the design of that particular table, these are the various campaigns that these contributors can make pledges towards. So I'll just close this table. Now what I'd like to do is create relationships between these 3 tables, and this is a good refresher for what we did earlier. To create the relationships, we hit the Database Tools tab in the ribbon, and in the Relationships group we hit the Relationships button. I've purposely made it that the tables don't show, so to show the tables we hit the Show Table button. What I'd like to add is I'd like to add the Contributors table, so I'll click that and I'll click Add. I'd then like to add the Pledges table, so I'll click Pledges and Add. And finally, I'd like to add the Campaign table, Campaign and Add. Those are my 3 tables, so I can now click Close. I'd like to clearly see what's in each table, so I'm just going to drag this 2-headed white arrow down until I see all the fields, which means the scroll bar disappears. And if necessary, I can make them slightly wider as well. I'd like to create a connection or a relationship between the contributors table and the pledges that they contribute to. And I'm going to drag contributor ID and drop it on contributor ID. I'd like to enforce referential integrity so that when we actually refer to a contributor in the pledges table, it will ensure that that reference has integrity by going back to the parent table and checking that contributor ID exists. I'd also like to enable Cascade Update and Cascade Delete and Create. Now I can see one contributor can contribute many pledges to various campaigns. I'd like to create a relationship between the campaign table and the pledges table by dragging campaign ID from the campaign table to campaign ID in the pledges table. When I let go, I'll check this is correct, and I want to enforce referential integrity, and that is when a pledge is received and a campaign is referenced, that reference has integrity, that it goes back to the parent table and checks that that campaign ID exists. I'd also like to turn on Cascade Update and Cascade Delete and Create. And there's our relationships created for this particular database. I'd like to save these relationships, so I'll hit the Save button on the Quick Access toolbar, and I'd like to close the relationships window by hitting the Close button on the ribbon. Having understood the tables and creating the relationships, I just want to create one record and add it to the campaign table. So I'm going to double click the campaign table. The campaign I'd like to add has a name, and it's called the Arts Centre. So this is a new campaign we're taking pledges for. The description is a campaign to develop Arts Centre. And the chairperson is Mary Baker. This particular campaign was launched on the 1st of the 1st, 2014, and the end date is the 31st of the 12th, 2015, and they hope to raise $50,000. Having added this record, I now want to close this table, so I'm just going to hit the cross in the top right corner. Now what I want to do is show you one of the query wizards. We've been creating queries a number of times now, and we've gone to the Create tab in the ribbon, and we've gone to the Queries group, and we'll use the Query Design button. But now I want to introduce you to some of the query wizards that you have in Access. So I'll click the button Query Wizard. The particular query wizard I want to start with is the Find Unmatched query wizard. And as this explains, this wizard creates a query that finds records in one table that have no related records in another table. So let's go OK. I'd now like to choose the table campaign from the list of tables shown here, and I'm just going to choose Next. I'd like to compare the campaign table to the pledges table, and Next. I'd now like to relate these two tables by the field campaign ID. So all I do, in actual fact it's picked it up automatically, but if it didn't, I'd click on campaign ID, click on campaign ID, and hit this button here to join the two, if it doesn't pick it up automatically. And I'll click Next. These are the matching fields. I'll then choose what fields I want to show in my results, and I actually want to see all the fields, so I'm going to hit the button with the 2 greater than signs to choose all fields, and then I'll click Next. I'd like to give this query a name, QRY Corporate Contributors Without Pledges, and I'm going to click Finish to view the results. And here's the one record I just added. This particular campaign, as of yet, has no pledges against it, and so it finds unmatched records between 2 particular tables, which can be very handy. So I'm going to now close this query.